rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I noticed a similar tense silence come over 175,000 people at the Women's March in Boston when a Muslim woman greeted the crowd with those same words. But I was confused. Why would a crowd carrying thousands of posters and flyers with an image of a Muslim woman in an American flag hijab be made to feel so uncomfortable with such a simple statement? Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Or, may peace and blessings be upon you for short. What was it about those words? Maybe it had nothing to do with them, and more to do with the person they were coming from. That moment recently resurfaced in my mind when a Muslim feminist and activist responded to my interview request, letting me know she was no longer taking interviews with non-Muslim feminists. When I asked her why, she said, "To be honest, nobody really cares what I actually have to say. They just want me to prove or disprove some preconceived notion of me just because I happen to be both Muslim and a woman. All they want to know is why I wear my hijab, if my parents made me wear it, and if I find it oppressive." In that moment, I knew exactly what she meant. The idea that your identity as a Muslim woman is only ever understood by whether you match up to an image in someone else's head. It brought me back to the many times people have said, "Oh, you're Muslim? Look at the way you dress. You must be one of those good Muslims." Or, "What? Your parents aren't from the Middle East or Asia? I had no idea there were Black Muslims." Maybe some of you today have been wondering if I myself am Muslim. But why is that? Why is it that my Blackness distances me from my religious identity when the first Muslims in America were African slaves? And currently, 1/3 of the American Muslim population is Black. An estimated 10% of the British Muslim population is Black. Why is it that my gender performance serves as the loudest statement on how seriously I take my faith and religious commitments? Why is it that the only two options for speaking to my experiences as an American Muslim woman are a pink cat hat or an American flag hijab? When neither reflects what it means to me to be a Black Muslim woman raised in the Midwest by a Puerto Rican mother and Black father. But what questions like these, the tense silence that comes over a room when a Muslim woman loudly says, "Assalamu alaikum," and the response to my interview request reveal is that representing Muslim women does not equate to listening to them, and that there are static representations of Muslim women that are getting in the way of all Muslim women being seen as legitimate representatives of their faith communities, and are getting in the way of us listening to what Muslim women really care about. Because I know Black Muslim women, brown Muslim women, white Muslim women, queer Muslim women, trans Muslim women who are CEOs, Muslim women who are single mothers, Muslim women who are getting their doctorates, and Muslim women who are activists, not only within their local Muslim communities, but with Planned Parenthood, environmental justice organizations, and Black Lives Matter. But I don't know a single Muslim woman who walks around in an American flag hijab. Better yet, I don't know a single Muslim woman who feels that her hardest or most important decision of the day is deciding what she does or doesn't wear. But that is what representations of Muslim women would have us believe. On one hand, more progressive representations in current social movements depict a Muslim woman's greatest concern as ensuring that her religious identity does not undermine her national identity. But 82% of Muslims in America are US citizens, and nearly 73% of Muslims in the UK state that their only national identity is British. So it is not a Muslim woman's religious identity or practices that jeopardize her citizenship, but discriminatory policies such as the Muslim travel ban recently passed by the US Supreme Court. On the other hand, more critical representations of Muslim women call for them to be saved because they're being denied a right to education by their oppressive religion. But Muslim women are the second highest educated group of women in the US, next to Jewish women. And research on Muslim women's access to education globally shows that it is not a Muslim woman's religion that determines her access to educational opportunities, but her economic standing. So if the goal of creating representations of Muslim women are to ensure their inclusion in women's empowerment movements and in the fabric of American and British society, these representations don't actually tell us much about them. After all, it's a pretty tall order to have one image, one person, or one organization reflect a global community of over 1.8 billion people. Because at the end of the day, a representation can only ever tell us one thing. And that's not to say representations are not important, but they're meaningless if they get in the way of us listening to Muslim women because we feel like we already know them. And to better know them and better understand, we need to start asking better questions. But we also need to stop giving priority to the wrong questions. Let's resist the urge of asking Muslim women why they do or don't wear a hijab, a veil, a niqab, a burqa, a bikini, a Burberry trench coat, and/or socks. Not because it doesn't matter, but because it's not the only thing that matters. And there is no single set of right questions, because there is no one type of Muslim woman. But there are better questions. Questions that don't assume some form of oppression, but centers Muslim women's activisms, feminisms, and forms of resistance. Questions that don't assume a Muslim woman's religious identity as her only identity, but aim to understand how their religion, race, gender, ethnicity, sexuality, class background, education, and so on intersect to inform who she is, who she wants to be, and her access to opportunities. And we'll never know the answers to these questions if we only ever see Muslim women rather than hearing from them.